Hello, welcome back to another video for Axie Infinity Season 1. Now it's already day 4 and you can see there are 4 players who got to Challenger, and you can also see that there's a change in some or a bit of a shake up in the top, where we have actually two new well, not new player, but new leaders, I would say, that overtaken Sushi One and Stack Axie and so on. So yep, obviously as the season goes by, especially for the first 7 days, it really depends a lot on what kind of runes and charms you get. And so in the very top team, SR nearly actually using a sustain build with very strong runes and charms. You can see the rise and rune with the arcane protection dawn to get to the top, and then I would say the rest is pretty standard. A pendulum scale beast with bloodlust and just very strong runes in general. And then I would say everything is pretty standard, and it gets to number 10, which is the interesting one, where we actually start to see some poison build with obviously using poison touch means you are a poison build, otherwise you wouldn't use this particular rune, a very strong rune as well. And I'm probably gonna feature RIsyA's puzzles team for today, just because we've had a bit of aggro team and also a bit of sustain already, and poison definitely is the one that we haven't covered so far, so I definitely want to get into it. But before that, let me just quickly go through and see what other kind of interesting team are there. So there is actually one here which doesn't use pendulum scale beast as the tank, and instead have a bloodlust aqua which heals quite a bit as well, so that could be a good tank. And then Raven Static, so very hard to get through these two actually. So pretty strong. And let me see what else are there. Okay, so sustain, so you can see it's mostly still the aggro, but you do see a bit more sustain that comes up, so that is good for the meta in a way. 3 beasts with Dominant Predator climbing in as well. So I would say the meta definitely feels like there are more sustain, especially at the top, but still mostly pendulum scale with some aggro. So this is still what it is at the top 50 or even probably 100. You do see some poison coming in as well, and that's why I actually do want to feature it and see how that goes. So getting a variety of different things that are viable, so it's always very good to see that having different teams being viable. Okay, so alright, without further ado, let me just scroll back up and then feature this one. The RIsyA puzzles team. So let's get into it and see what we have. Okay, here we go. So poison touch. Okay, let me just click on these and then let's just dive into it. Once you get to a pretty high level, then it's very hard to get the win rate to be a lot higher, just because you do face very strong opponents. So 29 to 19 is already a very good results, I would say. But okay, and let me see. Let's just dive into the Axies, and let's just go for this one first. So this is a reptile with some heals, interestingly. But okay, so the strategy of poison is basically that you apply poison, so there are a lot of cards, basically this Mothrail and the Green Thorns are the key ones that apply poisons to the opponent's team, and you want to play this as soon as possible so that you can start the poison ticks going. And Katara is very common in poison teams because you do want to split your damage across so that all the opponents actually will go down at the same turn or similar turns. And this usually, if they have 3 Axies alive, which usually they should, just because you are a poison team and you are actually trying to deal damage across as opposed to one Axie at a time, then it's quite likely that you will get a free meaning 0 cost with 60 damage. Reason being, Kotaro is really a hit or miss kind of card, which I don't really like playing myself, but it can be very effective. A lot of RNG involved is because it gains 1 energy if it hits at least 2 targets, right? So if it hits separate targets, then you get a free energy. And then the rest is really just the shields, and I think this is, these two are pretty important. All right, one is to deal a bit more damage, and the other is to apply weak, so you can actually survive for a bit longer. Okay, so let me see the mid. Mid is a Dusk, which is and let me just remind myself. So this is the Malediction. Okay, so this rune actually is very strong in poison build, is because if I remember correctly, it's a rune where it takes I think 15 or 20% less damage for debuff the opponent, and poison is a debuff if I understand correctly, and so then it effectively is like a pendulum scale, but be able to take shield, so very strong. And let's see what we have. Okay, similarly, small frills, green thorns, extremely important for poison builds, and I would say having Gila, so this is another key card that synergizes well with poison. And this key card I'll talk about it first, because at the end game, at any point when the opponent has quite a significant amount of stacks of poisons, then Gila does so much damage, right? Because it's 2 energy, but what it reads is that attacks all enemies, so it's effectively an AoE that deals 2 bonus damage per poison tax on the enemy. So imagine if the enemy has like 15 stacks, then it'll be like 30 extra damage, so that'll be 70 damage across the board, which can be pretty crazy. And this is basically the finisher in a way, so definitely try to get this off. And let me see what else is there. So the cleanse, I think, is quite important as well. One is because a lot of opponents now have a lot of these debuff, like vulnerable and everything, so having a cleanse would help out. And of course the heal as well, it heals 25 for, it's an AoE heal in that sense. Okay, and a bit of an attack to heal, so that heal is also important just to stay alive. So basically the idea of poison build is you put a lot of poison on them, let the poison deal the damage, and you try to stay alive as long as possible, and then of course have finishers like Gila to really deal a massive amount of damage at the end game, and then let the poison kills the opponent. And then another reflect, which again deals a bit more damage to the opponent. And finally, let's look at the plant. And let me see. Actually, I forgot what. Okay, so it's a leftover potion, which is actually pretty strong. It heals every turn. Again, small frills, green thorns. I think very strong cards for poison builds. I think it's kind of a must. And then I think the interesting part is the Mavis, but I'll talk about the Yam first. The Yam also very strong. First of all, AoE, so deal damage across the board is what you want in a poison build. In a poison build, you just want to get all your opponents slowly chipping away at the same rate. And apply poison, of course, is a synergy. But also it's good to deal with summons as well, so like definitely guarantee to get down the Mavis or something. And this is just to deal damage. Let's see, and okay, there's this heal as well, which can be quite good because of the cleanser. Sometimes the cleanser really hurts for teams, the opposing team that relies on debuffs. And finally, Mavis. Not sure why Mavis is here, to be honest, but maybe going into gameplay we will see how Mavis works. So okay, without further ado, let's just jump into the gameplay and see how it's like. Okay, let's look at the Axies. So alright, I forgot to actually look at the charms, but here we go. Very strong. The back getting the I forgot what this charm is called, but basically it's a taunt. So whenever it uses this card, it applies taunt to itself, meaning you can take damage away from the front and forces the opponent to hit the back. So that could be very strong for disrupting your opponent's plan. And then, okay, the runes and charms are pretty standard for the rest. But let me see opponent's team. So opponent's is a Aqua Beast kind of team. And okay, so it's purely attack. A lot of attacks actually do get bubbles. That's why it's pretty strong. And getting the Nemo. So a lot of free energies across the board, and then just damage at the back. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so let's see how this game goes. The opponent starts first and applying a vulnerable, which is very strong. And then let's see how the poison team actually plays out. So okay, apply poison and apply poison, right? So when you see poison, you play poison. I think that's pretty much the key of how you play a poison team. Okay, so getting a lot of attacks is really just trying to deal as much damage as possible at this point. Let's see how RIsyA is going to do. Okay, so okay, do get the Kataro value, so that's free energy, damage, and then getting the shield. So you can see it's saving the front and just trying to I guess make sure everything survives for now. So taking a lot of hits, that's pretty strong. And you can see because of this rune, it actually takes less damage. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about this rune. This is actually a very important rune. Because what it does is that it takes less damage per poison stack on the opponent. Okay, so a lot of poison stack already, and let's just see if the opponent can actually get through the back. And you can see the damage is really not quite there. It's because of the runes. Alright, it's like you can see the damage is just a lot lower than you would expect. So 72, so it's only actually like even with their rune, it's still only 67 damage. Okay, so let's see how they play out this turn. Okay, finally go for the heal, put more poison, and yeah, just put more poison. Yeah, I think, and the shield very strong. So it's just at the wow, look at the opponent, right? So they are already taking 90 damage per turn, pretty much full stack for this Axie, and then about 20 stacks for the other two. So let's see. Okay, finally managed to get through one Axie. So in a way, it's still not the worst for the opponent, but here is where Gila comes in. I'm pretty sure you see Gila, you play Gila, and then that is huge damage. About 100 across the board. This is crazy. Okay, and then poison just takes one of those down. Yeah, and I think the key is really to keep one Axie alive for the opponent. Let's see if they can manage to do it. But getting the weak also is pretty tough, and they can't really get through. Actually, it's a lot closer than I thought, in the sense that this is quite close. But this is why they have this single damage card, and yeah, I think that's. Is it GG? No, actually they do. Oh, okay, yeah, with the sword it's GG's. Yep, so this is how you really play the poison. You just really apply poison early game, and then Gila deal massive damage. And that is the game how you win with poison. Let's look at another game where you can demonstrate how you can play win against poison. Okay, alright, so let me just pause the video here, and then let's check the Axies again. So this is well, I mean the same build of course, but the opponent is a Beast Aqua Bird kind of team. 2 free energy at the front already, and a card draw, which can be quite strong. And then another energy, and then another card draw, so that is also pretty good. And also interesting that they tag in a Tri-Feather for sustain build. And then you have very strong attack cards and a bit of an AoE kind of card, and a Mavis. Okay, so 3 extra energy kind of game. So for the opponent, let's see. So okay, pretty good start I would say, with putting poison in. Yeah, this is why it's strong, is that you can choose to try and have better draws. And this is where wow, very lucky to get the 3 stacks, and you can see it deals so much damage already. Okay, so you can see they already used up 1 extra energy. So let's see how the opponents go. So unfortunately though, there's not that much poison yet. So this might be a problem because at the moment still there's not as much poison stack. And are they going to redraw something? I feel like they're just going to put... I don't think they'll put out Mavis, right? Oh, interesting. They decide to put out a Mavis against a poison team because usually the Mavis probably won't survive. Okay, but note that this is a key, right? Because the opponent has a taunt, so the Cortaro actually has to hit into the taunted Axie, and you don't get the extra energy that they might have forgotten about when they played, but not too sure. That might be the turn where that they might should have done something differently, maybe. Okay, wow, that is a very strong turn with the Cottontail as well, and then go for the Ronin. Interesting, they don't put the Cottontail to try and save the Mavis, but I assume it's because they know that the Mavis probably is going to go down anyway. So it doesn't even matter too much, just because they have so much AoE. Okay, so more poison. Note that the Mavis actually get quite a lot of poison attacks. It actually takes away some of the poison stack from the actual Axie, which can be pretty strong. And oh, okay, a lot of damage across the board again. Yeah, I would say it's still not over. But yeah, because the opponents do get quite a lot of stacks, I think that the problem is that the back going down is actually a bit rough. It's because the back actually is the most tanky one, I think, because of the rune. Yeah, I think the front is going down from here, and it's going to be 1 versus 3, and it's only turn 10, which is round 5, so that is going to be a bit rough. Let's see if they get the Gila. They do, so that is pretty strong. So the Gila is a must play, but at this point it's probably a bit too late. So they still need another 2 turns or 3 turns to go down, but unfortunately this axis is a bit too low. And that is GG's. So this is how you can outrace the opponent. Yeah, so it's really a game where you, well, if you are the attacking team, meaning the aggro team, you're just really trying to outrace the poison, and it really just depends on how the draw goes. If they have, if the opponent, I mean the poison team, managed to get a lot of poison stacks early on, then it's going to be quite tough. But if not, then you should be able to outrace them. So that is usually how this kind of matchup goes. Okay, so this is it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed my video, do consider giving me a like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, and use my Lenosian code Morris. Thanks again, and have a good one.